repackaging this one. Mary Kay Cabot, my first video about you didn't get life, but I'm coming back around because I want to let you know how we truly feel about the narratives that you're putting out there about Shedeur and the confusions that you are causing. I saw the last thing that you said about Shedeur, and I'm coming. He said what? He said that about Shedeur? Oh, really? Well, she said something too? She said that? Okay. Hold on. I'm going to get my vest. Mary K. Cabot, whatever your name is, the gig is up. I see your pattern now. You have a very distinct baseline that is very disgusting to me. And everyone that knows about you and your habits and your writing habits and your talking points on the Cleveland media. At the beginning of the week, you say good things about Shedeur. The Cleveland Browns must call you to the front office, give you a few extra coins to change the narratives. All of a sudden, on a bye week, when there's no action on the field, there's no practices going on, you have to breathe life back into your name by saying now that the Cleveland Browns is waiting on Shedeur. This is what I was talking about in the first video. You can't be trusted. You're all over the place. I told him, and I told myself, and I told everyone in that first video, I would never give you the benefit of the doubt. I would never give you the benefit of the doubt. I even mentioned that, yes, even though this society is double standard, you shouldn't be doing certain things. Now, hey, to each his own. But it comes off different when you do it because you're flip-flopping so much. You're giving women a bad name. With one story, you're making us seem like we are, quote unquote, what a lot of people believe about women is all over the place. That's not the case, Mary. Now, in a bye week, when the Cleveland Browns is not even on the field, and maybe they are, and I'm going to get back to that point. Hold on. Let me write that down because I got to get back to that point. You had to create this narrative that now, oh, it's not the Cleveland Browns' fault. They're waiting on Shedeur. Well, you just didn't say that. You just didn't say that a couple of weeks ago. You didn't even say that last week. You were talking about how accurate. Hold on. Let me get this receipt. Hey, you know what? Now, just 2 weeks ago on October the 11th, that came out of your own mouth, you stated that Shedeur's accuracy, calling it his superpower, elite. Cabot notes his high completion percentage, including a reported 74% in 2024, are a result of his natural ability to make every play when given time, varying his ball speeds and using different throwing styles to get the ball to his target. She also highlighted his excellent touch and visions and key attributes that will help him succeed in the NFL. This was just 2 weeks ago. Matter of fact, I'm going to call it, this is an artifact. Forget the receipts. This is an artifact because what I plan on doing on my channel, I plan on documenting everything. So when y'all come up in about 4 or 5, 6 years, whatever the story may be, I got the artifacts right here for my body of work. And Mary Kay, oh, let me get back to that part. I understand you have to have different strategies that are different from the guys, the other beat writers that are males, and they have certain access to certain clubs that, they may be underground that we cannot get into. I understand that. So, your strategy to get your name out there and get your likeness out there and get people to start mentioning your name again, those strategies have to be different. That's what it is. as being a woman in this world. I totally understand, especially in a male-dominant environment and career. But what you doing, you making all women look bad by your back and forth. All of a sudden, Shedeur is not basically doing what he's doing because Cleveland Browns is waiting on him. I saw what you just did there, Cabot. See what you alluded to without actually saying it, which is a lie. And let's go back to this AKA a beat reporter. You know Garrettbush? Yeah, I like highlighting Garrettbush because Garrettbush is dropping so many gems in terms of football, strategy, film breakdown, and also what it also means to be a beat writer. Garrettbush talked about beat writers, especially with the Cleveland Browns. Okay, so if you haven't heard this, get your notes and hold this right here. Every time they come out with these headlines, especially Mary Kay Cabot, because that's the only thing she can do. At the beginning of practice, I guess they drink coffee, eat donuts. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. And they have to go into this room and sit for 8 hours. Now, this is the gist of it. Just a small summary of what G. Bush say that a beat writer for the Cleveland Browns is, because they can't go into practice. They can't witness practice. They can't take note in practice. So basically, they're kind of like in this conference room, AKA holding cell, right? And so after practice, that's when they're able to meet maybe a few selected players, or they may come in and get their talking points, right? From whoever walks in the room and get their talking points. And from whatever little blurps of information that is given out, they're able to take that information and spin it spin it the way they want to, or they can just report it as is. So Mary, disgusting Mary Cabot, what are you doing? If you're going to be a journalist, do that. Have some integrity about you. Show some accuracy. Because right now you seem mental unstable. You're mental unstable. You're actually killing your own career by going back and forth, flip-flopping. Do you know what type of stage that you own at the moment? You're looking crazy. You're looking crazy. You're not a professional. You're not authentic. One day, because it used to be 1 week. One day you're praising Shedeur. The other day you're tearing them down. Same thing regarding the weeds. You're all over the place. Stop doing what you're doing. Crazy. Y'all, listen to this. And I give so much respect to even your own, colleagues that are calling you out. I mean, I could tell by some of these media outlets and podcasters that report on the Cleveland Browns. They also sick of your. I'm sorry. They sick of your back and forth. You're all over the place. Go take some medication if need be. So Mary Kay, you just reported it out of your own mouth about Shedeur's accuracy, and you also just proved my other point that you all are not allowed in practices no more. So basically you are hand-fed these narratives, right, about these about these players, and in this case particularly Shedeur-Sanders, or you are getting accurate reports, but you want to cause a buzz and get your names back out there on the streets. But I'm trying to tell you, all attention is not good attention, Mary. So stop what you're doing. If you want to talk about something, right? Talk about how the Cleveland Browns have switched Shedeur with Dylan pre-NFL and given Shedeur attributes to Dylan and Dylan attributes to Shedeur. If you want to talk about it, because they have did the switcheroo behind the scenes. I'm going to continue to hop on this about the exchange of skills that you've done between these two players. On the spiritual level, and here's the proof before I go into there. It is documented. Shedeur's attributes Dylan attribute, what his abilities are, what his weaknesses are. Shedeur was projected to go 1 to 2. Definitely the first round. This second round, I don't even know who we even put that out there because that's ludicrous. Look at this. Dylan was projected to go 4th or 5th. Now, let me put a caveat to that. G. Bush stated that it took him forever to even get a report that had Dylan drafted this high, projected to be drafted this high. Once again, Garrett Bush has stated that it took him forever to find a report that even had Dylan this high. Dylan was expected to go 6, 7 or undrafted. Let me say it again. Dylan Gabriel's projected draft round was 6, 7 or undrafted. And let me tell you something else about what they're doing in Cleveland. And I talked about it in one of my other videos. We see what they're doing on stage, but do you know that in a spiritual element of what they're doing, or a spiritual aspect of what they're doing, they're actually creating destiny swapping between these two players, intentionally and unintentionally. This thing is bigger than what we see. This thing is more than football. This is bigger than football. So that is part 1 of the play exchange. And this is part 2 of the video that I'm doing regarding I call it the failed NFL experiment, how the NFL players have been swapped. Now, the first video, it doesn't get too heavy into the spiritual aspects of it all. Okay. But the second part 2 of this particular topic is in this video. So if you ever get curious, go out and look at my videos. Don't think it's only dealing with Shedeur and Dylan. This thing is happening all the time throughout the world. It is called destiny swapping. Destiny swapping. Okay. And if this is too deep for you, every subscriber, every viewer that watches this channel, it may go into levels that you don't want to go to. But guess what? It's happening every day. So in layman's terms, if you know someone where on the job or in your career where someone else was getting accolades that someone else earned, but they're not getting those accolades, it's not getting those attention, but they actually giving it to the other person down the street, whoever is deemed the favorite. In the office, you've seen destiny swapping. You probably didn't know that was the name for it, but you've seen that, and it's consequences to that in the real world and the spiritual world. But like I said, if you want to know about that, go into part 1 of that discussion here, and then go into part 2 of this discussion. This is something real. But going back to Mary Kay. Oh, Mary Kay, let's be professional here. Take some medication. You are doing an injustice to your career. Take some medication and stick with one narrative, because all of this is narrative based. Beat writer. You can't even go into practices and you talking like you know what you're talking about. Disgusting.